moving forward, the House of Representatives in 2007 had the first committee of women in the House of Representatives. Of all the standing committees of the House, one that was created was the Committee on Women Affairs. We went further to put pressure on the leadership of the House, and of course there were all of the PDP extraction, to create the Committee of Women in Parliament. Now the reason behind that was that we needed a Committee of Women in Parliament to be the place where women could come together and come up with legislations that would help the women cause. Now, those committees were strong. They were hugely supported by the leadership of the National Assembly. And so you found that there was institutional support for the 35% affirmative action. Now, we found that in subsequent PDP governments, it has always been the same, that even when the women were not able to come through because of our local sometimes, you know, women are discriminated against, psychological, physical, economic, religious sentiments that stop women from coming through the electoral process. The PDP took the shortcut and made their point. So much so that these numbers were incremental until the last PDP government, where we had achieved 33% in appointive positions under the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan administration. Are women where we should be? Obviously not, because immediately after that, we found it was almost as if we were not there. The numbers dwindled in the 2015 elections, with only 6 women as ministers, 7 women as ministers in the APC government. And, you know, we find that the space is shrinking for women. With the non-signing of the Electoral Act, with no institutional disincentive for violence, that space continues to shrink. Now, of course, everywhere in Nigeria and everywhere in the world, poverty wears a woman's face, but it's even more so now. So much so that the indices, the international indicators, the international figures state that Nigeria is the country least interested in equality. We're bottom of the rung, 140 out of 140 nations. So have we made any progress? Absolutely not. Am I optimistic? Well, you know, I mean, I believe that if there's a change of government, yes, then the PDP, then the deliberate thoughts and the deliberate actions of the PDP to open up the spaces for more female participation is one that will continue from where we were. Of course, the present presidential candidate had said at a rally, at a women's rally, that he was going to give us 35%. We're pushing for 40%, and I am optimistic that we're going to get our 40%. And the reason I say that is that 51% of the population deserves at least 40% representation. Only then can our democracy be truly reflective of the population and the demographics. I believe that the demographics are in our favor. We have women, the women vote, 60% of the voters are women. 51% of the population are women. And I believe that if indeed the women come out to vote in the way that we must vote, and if the numbers are indeed true, and they are true, that 60% of the voters, then we're in a strong position to negotiate for that which we want.
When a president goes to an international forum and say that his wife's position is in the other room, does that help the quest of women to achieve 50% of representation?
No, evidently not. I mean, it's almost misogynist. I mean, it just speaks to the commodification of women. And, you know, I believe that while it was wrong, it was a shock to a lot of women, who have worked very hard and who have shown that women have to work twice as hard to get to where they are, and women who have held the positions that have been given to them, and not only have they held them, but that they've also excelled. For us, it was a bit of a shock, considering again that the voting public that voted the President into power was 60%, and he is recognized, and he recognizes that one of the smartest ministers of the finance that Nigeria ever had was a woman, and so on and so forth. And, you know, for us it was very bad. For us it was very shocking. But do I think it took the sail out of out of the gender agenda. I don't think so. I think quite the contrary. I think it just made us more willing to continue to work twice as hard and to ensure that then we eventually get a government that understands that no bird can fly with one wing. That for the Nigerian state to soar, to get to the place that we want the Nigerian state to soar, that it must be representative of all shades, all people, all sexes, all religions, all demographics in the Nigerian state, for the Nigerian state to actually get to the Nigerian